Hello and welcome to the Tuesday, August 27th edition of the SIG Cluster Lifecycle meeting. We don't have any of our chairs here today, so this meeting will be completely non-binding. If you do have any items that you want to discuss, please go ahead and add them to the agenda, and please go ahead and update any of the sub-project notes or updates as well. Our first item is follow up on action items. Going down and looking at last week, I believe you had an action item, Chuck, on the documentation about GoReleaser.
Yes, I do. I wrote up a little document, just adding to the notes here, about GoReleaser as a tool for releasing binaries for SIG cluster lifecycle. It's generally applicable across a lot of the projects here. I would probably suggest it be optional, as I don't want to force anyone to do it, but it's nice to standardize on the tool. So I just wrote down my thoughts here, and right now we're looking at implementing that for Cluster API, the various providers across Cluster API. Integrating with GitHub Actions and the Kubernetes image promotion process, which will give us everything we need. So it'll give us the GitHub releases that we're looking for, and it will give us the Docker container, or the container images rather, that we need for releases. So if you're a project in SIG cluster lifecycle looking for binaries and container images, a release process for that, take a look at the GoReleaser document I wrote up, and also take a look at the GoReleaser website. Yeah, I think it's a pretty slick tool.
All right, thank you, Chuck. So if you do have time, please go ahead and look at and provide feedback on that doc. We'll likely bring it back up at the next meeting when we have our chairs available. All right, the next action item I'm looking at is for Daniel, writing a doc with the domain-specific problems.
Yeah, this is a doc about figuring out like where functionality and where responsibilities lie, and I'm still behind on that. So as soon as so my plan is to finish the draft and share it on the mailing list, and then I think we'll come back for a discussion here. So yeah, still on my plate.
All right, thanks. The other one that I'm looking at here from last week is an action item about creating a meta issuing KK for kubelet control plane upgrade interactions. I see that there is a link there as well. And it looks like Lubomir created an issue related to best practice for mutable upgrades. So I don't know if there is anything additionally to do for this. Do you, Lubomir?
I'm not aware of any action items that we should take based on that.
All right, great, thanks. So that brings us to the sub-project and working group updates. I guess I can fill in for Cluster API. We are chugging along with the V1 Alpha 2 related work. We are coming pretty close to being ready for a release, at least on the core Cluster API side. Some of that work is going to be leveraging the GoReleaser work that Chuck had mentioned previously as we try to automate the release process there. That's pretty much the update for Cluster API right now. Everything is basically focused on V1 Alpha 2 right now and trying to see if we can wrap up that release at the end of this week. Any questions before I move on? No. All right, over to you, Lubomir, for KubeADM.
So we have a customize of static pods feature that is going to be Alpha 1.16. All the PRs are merging. We are about to add tests for that as well, but no docs. Those stack support is going to be in alpha using a feature gate, but no docs and only tests for that. This is mostly driven by SIG network folks. We are fixing random problems in the 116 backlog, triaging on a regular basis. The docs placeholders are already up for the K website repository. I'm going to work on that this week, hopefully. As a PSA, we are going to update HCD to 3.315 and core DNS to 1.5.2 for 116. And this is pending some approval from basically, we need people to push some images to GCR. And also the signal is looking good. Hopefully it's going to be stable until release.
All right, thank you. And Lee, you had a question?
Yeah. How do I run CI for kind?
So there's a hack folder, and the hack folder has verify all. So you can execute it executes a series of bash scripts that can verify the build, static checks, everything.
Oh, I don't know how I missed that. Okay, thank you. Cool. That's all.
For this particular PR, I'm waiting on Fabrizio to have a look at it, to have a review.
Yeah, it caught me by surprise because in the README, I'll update the README too in a separate patch. Because it's building when I do a go build, but yeah, when it's running the hack scripts, it's not functioning. So, interesting. Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Lubomir? Nope. All right. Next up is Minikube. Thomas, I believe.
Yep. So things going on. We've got our next release targeted to simultaneously release with Kubernetes 1.16. We recently replaced rootfs with tempfs in our VMs, which, well, it sounds like a dry technical detail. It makes it much easier to support container runtime updates. We've had some problems before where I guess there's pivot root behavioral differences between rootfs and other file systems. So we swapped that out. Should make it much easier for us to do container runtime updates. And we got a early work in progress PR this last week to add a deployment model to containers, which is very, very similar to the kind model. In this initial release, where it's just to Docker rather than Docker and Podman, which is what we'd like to support. And it's using the kind images. So we'll actually have, I guess, some sharing going on between the projects. So there's a lot of work to be done on that PR to actually make it appropriate for inclusion, but it's promising. So that's it.
All right. Any questions for Thomas? No. All right. Moving on to add-ons. Is that you, Lee?
Yeah, this was just a simple update, which was that I'm working on the Kubernetes proof of concept. Just figured I needed to write some actual code for the use case. So plumbing this into phases and then into the component config portion. And the feedback, of course, from everybody on the Kubernetes team has been really helpful. So thanks. It's always good to work with you. And then I believe we should, before this alpha feature is merged, we'll need a cap probably. So yeah. That's it.
All right. Any questions for Lee? All right. Next is component config. Is that you as well, Lee?
Yeah. We canceled our meeting today. No updates currently. I think Mike was out a little bit, and then still in flight are legacy flag patches, as well as research on this multi-doc abstraction. We had some patches come in 2 weeks ago for this, and just didn't really know where we wanted it to go, and so we opened up a doc for some study on what different tools are doing here. And then the API test suites are still open and need to be updated. So just lots of WIP.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right. For cops, it looks like Justin's not going to be able to be here today. He says that the release train is ongoing, working on 1.15.0-alpha.1 now, and he said we may catch up yet. All right. On image builder, do we have anybody to provide updates there? Moshe, maybe?
There are no updates on my side. I know you've been involved a little bit. I don't know if there are any updates that you could provide.
Yep. For the cluster API image builder portion, we are starting to use that for at least the AWS provider now. I know the vSphere provider is also using it. So we've had some churn there as we've tried to work through some of those issues with moving from the embedded repository-based ones. But so far, things seem to be working pretty well there. Now, I know that on the COP side, the image builder tool, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, has at least been imported as well. So that's another update for image builder as well. Still plenty of work to do as we try to dedupe the tools, but it's encouraging to see at least a common place where the tools are starting to come together.
Yeah, I agree.
Any questions about the image builder? No. All right, etcd ADM. Daniel, maybe?
Yeah. Oops. Close my. Yeah. So I wasn't able to host the last meeting, so that was canceled, and it looks like the next meeting, which is this coming Monday, it falls on a U.S. holiday. So I don't know. I'll reach out in the Slack channel to see if if people can attend. I can attend, but I don't want to impose on anybody's holiday. And I think that one of the things that we want to discuss at the next meeting is how kubeadm and etcd ADM should work together. I know that Lubomir has talked with Fabrizio. So yeah, just need to make that conversation happen. And then yeah, there are some PRs I'm looking at, and yeah, that's the update for now.
Thank you. Any questions for Daniel about etcd ADM? No. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our scheduled agenda. Are there any other topics that anybody has? All right. If not, thank you all. Have a great day. And the next meeting, hopefully we'll have our chairs and have a better plan of action for how we tackle the meeting.
Thanks for hosting.